There are places in Joburg, if I see food being cooked, especially if it is pap, I even feel like I am going to vomit. My name, you will call me whatever, Leratom. I am a 38-year-old woman. I used to be a tenderpreneur, a real one, before I started using rituals in order for me to get these tenders. The truth be told, I was a failure and I got lucky in the most disgusting ritual that you can ever imagine. I'm writing this to you because I want people to know that in other places where they cook food, there are a lot of things that they do in secret in order for them to get a lot of customers. In 2017, I was at my lowest. I had won a big catering tender for a government department in Joburg, but as a black woman who came from a very poor family, not that much educated, I just went to college, did a little business management from a fly-by college where I slept with a lecturer to get my diploma. I did not know how to manage life and I did not know how to manage money. I had never seen $1 million in a bank account in my whole life. And when I started to get these tenders, it makes you to go crazy. We should not blame our politicians when they get tenders. It is something that is like you have won a lotto, because money for tender, it comes to you really fast in a way that you can't explain it. And if you are not grounded financially, the very next day you are going to buy a car that you don't even need, a house that you don't even need, telling everyone that you have made it in life. And as black people, that is the problem that we have. We don't have financial management when we start to handle all of these big monies. That is how I ended up being broke. All the money that I got from the tender for the government that had given me this tender, I spent it on a lifestyle that I was never supposed to be spending on. I was living above my means. I was supposed to remain in the location for a little while, then upgrade slowly and move maybe to Senton in a gated community. But in one night, I wanted to move out of the community where I had been staying, and I started to be with women that were much more wealthier than I was. I will do my hair after each and every 3-4 days, because me and the ladies, we would be going to different functions, would do my nails, and a car that was so expensive simply because I wanted to have a sports car that I was even unable to drive properly because of the way that it was too powerful. This little car, it is the one that made me to go broke. It was eventually repossessed. My business was failing, and my people that were working for me, they were striking because I could not pay them, and I was about to lose everything. I was desperate to become something again after being kicked out of the gated community. I wanted to live in a nice neighborhood once again. One evening, I was sitting with my young sister talking about how hard things were. She told me a story that sounded like it was just a myth to me. She said that there was a Zimbabwean woman who used to run a successful pub and stew canteen near the taxi rank. The food was so addictive that people would go there and stand in line for hours and hours. But one day, one of the taxi driver caught her doing something that was unspeakable. They saw him taking off her dirty underwear, and they saw this woman shoving that dirty underwear into a fresh 10 kg bag of maize meal before she had started cooking the pap. This lady, she only worked with Zimbabweans. There was no South Africans that she was hiring. And I told my sister that this was just xenophobia that was happening. They saw that she was running a very successful business. That is why they had came up with all of these stories saying that she was using a underwear in the pub that she would be cooking and selling. My sister told me that they chased him from the taxi rank, throwing stones and screaming that she was feeding them muti. She disappeared, but my sister told me that she had moved a kitchen to another spot, but in the south of Joburg. And most people will get disgusted about this, but Brother Nashim, I was desperate. In here, I did not see a crazy woman. I saw a woman who knew how to use muti from her country to bind people to her business. I went out looking for her. I spent weeks asking around until I had found her living in a small place, and she did not deny it. She told me that indeed she had been using some muti, and I begged her. I said, is it possible for me to use the same muti that you are using in my business? We started speaking, and I told her that I was running this tender business. The challenge that I was facing was that I was unable to get another tender contract. And she said, no, you can't use what I am using, but if I go back to my country, I will inform you. This means that you will be going with me to Zim. I said, no, it's fine. Do I need a passport? She laughed and she said, no, there is no need for you to fix your paperwork. We can just go. No one is going to arrest you. Whereas if you are South African, you can move freely around. This woman, I'll call her Mavis. And then when it was time for her to go to Zim, she informed me. We sat down and we spoke more before we had left for her country. Speaking with her, she said to me, if you want in the future a department head to sign any contract for your company to start working with the government, you have to make sure that you are okay spiritually. Otherwise, others are going to get that contract before you. She was telling me that everything, it starts in the spiritual realm. All the things that we see in the physical realm, it is just a spiritual manifestation. She said most black people, they put white people in front, and when those people get tenders, then they do the work, because naturally, she said that white people, they have much more good luck than we have. So she said, in order for you to be able to have good luck, because as a black person growing up, you are surrounded by your enemies. They are those that do not want you to succeed in life, so they make sure that they give these spirits access to your soul, in which white people, they are busy uplifting each other. They don't have that jealousy that we have as black people in the community. If you see a child that is intelligent and then you are thinking about bewitching him because you do not want that child to succeed in life. And I understood everything that this woman was telling me, and I decided to go with her to Zim. We got onto the bus in Joburg and we drove all the way to Zim. When we arrived, we stayed at her house and I was taken to a traditional healer. I expected to see witches flying in Zim, but that did not happen. We went to the traditional healer's house, which was just a normal house, and then I was told what I was supposed to do. I was told that before I submit any tender documents, I had to wear a specific pair of underwear for 3 days straight without washing. Even if I start to prepare these documents online, I am supposed to be wearing the same pair of underwear. If I am on my periods, the better. The way that I'll be dirty and smelling, that is what will give me good luck. Then on the third night at midnight, I am supposed to take off those dirty clothes and underwear to a specific section of a cemetery of my choosing here in Gauteng, or wherever where I want to submit for a tender. Even if it means that I want a tender in Limpopo, I have to drive there to Limpopo. Then I stay at a guest house whilst I am busy preparing my documents so that I can submit them and then I look for a graveyard that is close by, and then I go and I put my clothes as well as my underwear, and I am supposed to bury my underwear close to the head of the grave. If there is a tombstone, I dig a little bit close to the tombstone where the head of that person that is buried inside of that grave is, and then I leave it there for 24 hours. The next night I go back and I dig it up and I put it back. I was told that when I do this, when I go into any office, either submitting or maybe going to attend a meeting, when I am wearing something like that, it means that the person across the desk will just want me to get that tender. They will feel a need to please you, because in their spirit will be feeling so heavy, because I will be carrying the spirit of a dead person. They won't know that this is what is happening. Have you ever been in a meeting whereby those people, they just want the meeting to be over and done with? That is how I handle my meetings wherever I go to. The people that I'll be doing business deals and business meetings with, they make sure that the meeting is as fast as possible so that they can grant me whatever that I want from them, and we can start working, because their spirit, they will be sensing the smell from the graveyard, the smell of my period blood, of my sweat, of not bathing and wearing that same underwear that I would have left at the cemetery. But physically, they won't even smell that I am smelling like that. Brother Nash, it worked when we returned back to South Africa. I did as I had been instructed to do. I submitted a tender for a massive school feeding scheme. I did exactly as I had been told to do. The first time, it was really terrible. I am someone that is very good with her own grooming, and it is very difficult for me to spend 2 days without bathing. This was like the first time ever in my entire life to spend 2 days without bathing. Usually I bath twice a day. In the morning when I wake up, I go and bath, and then late at night before I go to bed, I bath again. If it is on a hot day, around lunchtime, I have to bath. I had never done this, to go for days without bathing. I felt disgusted, itching. I felt so heavy. I felt abnormal. But then the moment when I walked into this other office, the officials, they looked at me, and I was scared that they will say that this woman, she is smelling like hell. But they looked at me as if I was smelling so nice. They did not even look at my pricing, my references. They just kept on nodding. I want that tender, then another, and I have a fleet of high-end catering trailers, and this is what has been happening, even though I have been winning all of these tenders. But the woman did not tell me about the consequences of using the spirits of the people from the graves that are not even related to you by blood. It started with my daughter. My daughter came to me, and then she told me that she was having weird dreams. I said, tell me, what kind of weird dreams are you having? My daughter then told me that she sees a man that comes to her late at night, and when this happened, it is as if she is not dreaming, and she was always waking up with physical signs to show that she is having intercourse in her dreams. I dismissed it, and I said, maybe since you are all growing up, because my daughter was still a teenager at that time, and I said, maybe it is because you're still growing up, honey. Your body is still exploring itself. It does not understand itself as for now. My daughter said, okay, it's fine. Then she came to me and she told me that when she had gone to bed, she was on her period. She had removed the paint liner, including the pad that she had been wearing, and she put it in a small black plastic. she tied it and she put it in a small refuse bin that she had in her room. And when she woke up, she felt that there was something that was inside of the bedroom, and then there was something that just told her to look into that small bin that she had in her bedroom. When she went there, she said she did not see anything for a couple of minutes. Then suddenly that black small plastic that had a sanitary pad, it was in there. She opened it up and she saw that the sanitary pad, it was as if it had never been used. It was even smelling new. And she came to my bedroom late at night. This was so scary when she told me this. I returned back to Mavis and I spoke with her and I said, Mavis, darling, there is something that is happening to me. I really do not understand. My daughter is having these weird dreams. She is saying that there is someone that is visiting her late at night and this man is sleeping with him. And now, whenever she is on her period, there is something that comes to drink her period blood. What is really going on? Do you know anything about this, Mavis? She looked at me and she said, oh, I forgot to tell you, once you start using this muti, then the muti will choose. It's either your son or your daughter. She then took out her phone and she showed me these sick videos of her son back in her country in Zim. Her son stays in another town with a caregiver. Her son is just mentally ill. It was so sad when I saw what Mavis' son was like, and she told me that as for me, I should count myself lucky. She would be happy to exchange her son for my daughter, because her son, she has this tokoloshim that is now affecting the way that he thinks he is mentally ill, and she does not know what will happen to him if she will ever die, because you will never have a normal life and you will never be okay. I said, Mavis, what are you trying to tell me? And then she told me that my tokoloshim that I have, which I don't know what it looks like, it had chosen my daughter for my daughter to become its wife, which means that my daughter, the way that she is beautiful, her mother have money, but she will never be able to get married in her entire life. She will always stay like that. So this is my story, Brother Nashim. I accepted my fate and I said it is okay. I'm still staying with my daughter. I don't even want her to go to university, because like, what is the need for my daughter to go to university? She is never going to have a normal life. Even Mavis was suggesting and saying that it will be wise that your daughter and my son, they eventually get married, because they share the same spirit, the same tokoloshis from the same shrine. We can speak with the traditional healer that assisted me and assisted you. Maybe our children, they can get married and they can take care of each other, because eventually I am supposed to tell my daughter and she is supposed to understand that she will be in this situation until she dies. As long as she agrees, even though I would have died, she will always have this money that will be appearing in the house. But when she dies, everything will go up in flames. This empire will crumble to the ground. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister. Let us speak with our dear sister in the comment section. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. What is the purpose of it all if your daughter will never enjoy life simply because you want to keep on winning tenders? Let us speak with our dear sister in the comment section. I'll be back with another episode.